It's no secret that Die Rise is one of my favorite maps of all time, and I take a lot of flack for my love of Die Rise. I get it berated week after week on Zombros. Reed thinks that I only proclaim my affinity for Die Rise as a meme. People call me an idiot, and they say Die Rise is the worst map of all time, and I have no good taste in maps. I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that the people who love Die Rise are an oppressed group in society. We are a persecuted people, and today I stand up and say no more. I am breaking the shackles of tyranny placed upon me from the community, and I am going to be unapologetically myself. No longer will I be treated like a second-class citizen just because I like Die Rise. It is for this reason that I will be breaking down and explaining why Die Rise is one of my favorite maps of all time. Let's first establish that I'm not blind to Die Rise's faults. It's not a perfect map, and it definitely has its fair share of flaws. Many people don't like Die Rise because of Who's Who. They say it's a terrible perk that's added to the map, and there's a reason it hasn't come back since Die Rise. It is buggy. I will agree with the community when they say that. Sometimes it sucks when it spawns you in the middle of a horde or just in a generally bad spot. But it's a high-risk, high-reward perk. In theory, you can never die if you're good enough at zombies when you're using Who's Who, which is kind of nice. It was the first time ever in zombies we were given an opportunity to survive longer than 3 downs, and I kind of like it for that. Another thing people say is that building the Trample steam takes way too long, and this map really was built for the Trample steam. By using the Trample steam, it changes how you navigate the map, so it's essential to have, which means you have to go through the arduous process of building the Trample steam. Sadly, and I'll agree, it is a pain in the ass to build. It's something I try to knock out of the game as early as possible so I don't have to think about it again. You'll notice in this sped up gameplay, it takes me about 5 minutes just to build the Trample steam, which I don't think is really okay, and I've given Transit a lot of flack for this, so I'll be sure to be fair and give Die Rise flack for this. It really haunts my progression and prevents me from just diving into the map, which I don't enjoy, because you need to grab a part, jump down, wait a minute or two for the elevator ride back up, and repeat. You have to rinse and repeat this process 4 times in total, and this is maybe 90% of the time spent building the Trample steam, just waiting for the elevator. It's bad game design, and sure, it's a lot easier in co-op, but you shouldn't design with just co-op in mind. I mean, had this map had a shared inventory or you're able to hold multiple parts at once, it'd be a lot easier, but unfortunately, you can't. And this, I think, is a problem that plagues the rest of the map. Not the shared inventory, but having things take a long time because you're waiting for the elevator. Often you find yourself waiting for elevators on this map. If you get stuck on the bottom, you're essentially in a dead zone where you need to wait. And sure, this provides sometimes some interesting survival experiences, and you gotta learn to survive in the bottom floor of the high rise with the zombies coming and you need to wait for the elevator. That can at times be interesting, and I think sometimes that can be cool, but other times when I'm just trying to navigate or waiting for the round or something, it's just boring waiting for the elevator. And sure, you can use the key, but I never use the key in this map. I don't think the key is really that practical of a solution. And I will say, this makes doing a full loop around the map kind of annoying, so I try to avoid reaching the very bottom of the map. Even with these issues though, on Die Rise, which I admit is kind of a big one, it's still, in my opinion, a great map. One of the things I love about Die Rise is the way it controls the player's movement, and this stems from the fact that there's a lot of verticality. Oftentimes you're not able to backtrack. Like in some areas you can go back to where you came from, but you're forced to make decisions that affect where you go from then on, which essentially means that rather than you controlling your movement, the map controls your movement. And I think this is a fun way to change up the dynamics of zombies. Oftentimes maps are pretty open. You can go anywhere you want at any time, but not in Die Rise. You're kind of shuffled along through the map as you go through, and it begins right away at the start. You can either go down the elevator and you're at the very bottom and you need to work your way up, or you can slowly scale your way down the building. And there are a number of paths that once you take it, you can't undo, like jumping down the elevator shafts, or sliding down some of the rubble, or jumping from one area to another, or just going all the way through the path. Once you go through there, you're kind of stuck. You can't turn back. The map forces you to follow its path, and I kind of like it. It makes zombies more circular in a way because you're always following this loop, and it's a nice change of pace. I kind of like how Die Rise, I'm slightly out of control in where I can go, and that makes surviving just a little bit more difficult. And a lot of this comes from the fact that Treyarch was pretty ambitious and made one of the most vertical maps, if not the most vertical map we've ever seen. Another thing I like about this map is that it opens itself up to many different styles of play. There are campers and there are trainers, and this map has something for everybody. If you enjoy training, there's a number of places you can go. You can go train by the Speed Cola elevator. You can go train in the main room that I think a lot of people use. This is maybe the most iconic training spot on the map. You can also, if you want, kind of try to train by the dragon. It's a little more difficult, but it's doable. And then there are also plenty of great camping spots on this map. You can camp by the dragon, you can camp on the escalators, you can camp in the temple room. I like how this map gives me options. Like if I want to just go for a high round in a traditional sense, I can just train like crazy. But if I want to maybe test myself or really put myself on edge or just be a little bit more static, I can camp in multiple locations on this map. I feel like sometimes there are training maps and there are camping maps, and you can only do one or the other, but Die Rise lends itself to both play styles. Another thing I really appreciate on this map is that the Trample steam shines. There are multiple locations on the map that you can place the Trample steam that add new pathways, and players who know these different pathways and know how best to use a Trample steam can really take advantage of it. They can navigate the map. Maybe you need to make like a last second revive where you have to jump across a building that you wouldn't normally be able to get to somebody, and those shortcuts will take off minutes off your travel time. And for people that complain that you're waiting forever to use the elevators, if you have enough nice trample steams set up around the map, then you can really navigate the map like never before. And it kind of takes what is a circular map and adds some lines through the circle to give you shortcuts. Another nice thing is that you can also use the trample steam just to get free perks, which is a nice thing that clever players can take advantage of. Another thing I really appreciate is that this map has one of the best wonder weapons we've ever seen in zombies. It might not be outrageous to say the Sliquifier is literally the best wonder weapon we've ever had. I mean, when it was first introduced, it was so overpowered that people were able to sit in parts of the map and literally shoot one shot and beat an entire round. It was crazy some of the strategies that people had came up with, but even now, post-patch, the Sliquifier is still really good, and I like how sometimes if you just hit it just right, you can build up a chain reaction that lasts for several hordes of zombies. Like traditionally, a wonder weapon is good for killing 24 zombies at once because it's a one-hit kill weapon, it'll kill every zombie on the map, and there's only 24 zombies on the map. But because of the nature of the Sliquifier, it's actually better to use it on just a group of 1 or 2 or 3 zombies and then kind of let them kill the other zombies around them. And if you can time your chain reaction just right, you can, in theory, defeat the entire round with a single shot. It rewards clever playstyle, and quite frankly, I think we need more of that at zombies. And it's one of those wonder weapons that gets better as the game goes on, because the faster the zombies spawn, the more likely you are to trigger a large number of chain reactions, and the better the Sliquifier becomes. But it's not completely overpowered, because you can, for example, use it a little too much, have a bunch of slick goo on the ground, and then accidentally slide off the map or slide into a dangerous location. So I like this, again, high risk, high reward kind of thing, where you have one of the best wonder weapons we've ever seen, but make sure not to use it too much or you might find yourself sliding off the edge of a building. Another thing you can say about Die Rise that I don't think you can say about many other maps is that it's absolutely gorgeous. Its atmosphere is incredible. I mean, just take a look at this piece of concept art from Die Rise and tell me this does not look like one of the coolest zombie maps of all time. And when you load into the map, you see it immediately. You can look up into the skybox and look at the surrounding areas, and it's just cool looking. It just looks freaking awesome. Die Rise is like eye candy. So I hope you guys can, by the end of this video, understand that maybe Die Rise isn't the greatest map of all time. Absolute number one. And I'm not going to argue it's absolute number one, but I still think it's a half decent map. I don't think it deserves all the hate that people get. And if anything, at least agree with me that it's one of the more unique zombies maps we've seen. Not just for the verticality, but also just the look of it. Again, this skybox is incredible. Also, the way it borrows inspiration from MC Escher and in some rooms flips entire buildings upside down. I think this map is a creative high point for Treyarch. When was the last time Treyarch has ever made a map that is this inspired? But one thing I'll say is that none of this matters, none of this cool design matters if the gameplay stinks. But I do still think the gameplay is, at minimum, half decent. Whether you're a camper or a trainer, there are multiple places you can play, and it rewards knowledgeable players through things like the Trample Steam and the Sliquifier, and also rewards skilled players with perks like Who's Who. Personally, I think this will be a great map to remaster and reimagine, and some of maybe the issues in this map can be improved upon, with the shared inventory as well as being able to hold multiple items like in Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3. The Trample Steam would be really easy to build, which would then fix some of the problems of navigating the map, and maybe if they can find a way to make the elevator system a little bit better, maybe make them faster, it wouldn't be that bad. So I am personally, and lately, I've been campaigning on my Twitter for Die Rise to be remastered, hashtag remaster Die Rise. Also, I found this really cool Twitter, has Die Rise been remastered yet, that tweets every day whether or not Die Rise has been remastered. So maybe you've woken up one day and you've said to yourself, hey, I wonder if Treyarch has remastered Die Rise yet. You can go check on that Twitter and find out whether or not Die Rise has been remastered. I also found this really cool website, hasdierisebeennremasteredyet.com, that will also give you live updates on whether or not Die Rise has been remastered. Links to the Twitter and the website are in the description of this video. I don't know who made this website, and I don't know who made this Twitter. However, whoever did is probably a genius at creating guerrilla marketing campaigns and is also probably really handsome. But again, I have no idea who made this Twitter or this website. That's going to wrap this up for this video. I hope you guys can see why Die Rise is one of my favorite maps in all of Zombies, and at least see where I'm coming from. That's going to go, though. Have a wonderful day. Be sure to subscribe for more Zombies content, and bye.